So my mom would take me to bookstores and libraries at a very young age as her favorite pastime, and I've read a bunch of non-fiction books, most of which I've taken notes on. And in this brand new series, I'm gonna make content on the valuable lessons that I've learned from these books and how they have positively impacted my life, and hopefully you guys can take something out of it. Let's get started. The first book that I'm going to discuss on this series is Ali Abdaal's Feel Good Productivity. I have been following Ali on YouTube since I don't know when. I think he's one of the people who has inspired me a lot personally in my professional and personal life. In fact, he's one of the people, if not the most important person, who has inspired me to start this YouTube channel. So I was one of the first people to pre-order his book, and I think he is onto something. I think there are a few valuable lessons for us to learn here, and I hope you get some life-changing ideas. Since I'm a fan of upfront conclusions and I respect your time, I'm going to briefly discuss what this book is all about, and if it piques your interest, feel free to stick around for the full review. So primarily, the book challenges the traditional definition of productivity, which for decades has equated hard work and suffering with success and happiness. And I've been guilty of this. I also used to buy into that hustle at all costs mindset. But after reading this book and applying these strategies into my life, I've embraced this new mindset and it has positively impacted my life. The author, Ali, argues that it is not hard work that leads us to success and that makes us happy. Instead, it's the other way around. We feel good, we perform better, which leads us to success, and that success, again, positively reinforces our mind and our moods, and this creates a positive flywheel. This approach, Ali suggests, is more sustainable than the grind mentality that is pushed by all productivity gurus. And believe me, there is something to be said about the hard suffering mindset, which allows us to just get started, and getting started is one of the most important, if not the most important thing when it comes to anything in life. But once you've gotten started, I think you can burn out very fast if you just keep the grind mode on. And I think Ali has a point here in that when we are talking about the long run, adopting strategies mentioned in this book can help us attain better and bigger results consistently, faster, and all while maintaining the quality of our lives. So most of this book is about research and case studies with examples of how this positive flywheel of us feeling good, which making us work better, and that leading us to success, and that again making us feel good, all of this has been implemented by successful individuals and organizations, and how he has decoupled suffering with success, and most importantly, my favorite part, the experiments. These are the practical action items that we can apply to our day-to-day lives, and they are called experiments, rightly so. We don't have to apply all of them. We can pick and choose, apply, iterate, and see what sticks. Ali argues that, like everything else in life, productivity is not a one-fit-size-for-all. Different things work for different people, and framing it as an experiment and not an action item just reduces the pressure to do all of them, because only then we'll be doing productivity right if you perform all of these action items correctly. Please stay with me as I discuss the key strategies and principles discussed in this book, along with my favorite experiments that has brought along a positive impact in my life. There are about 50 experiments in this book, so obviously I can't discuss all of them. You read the entire book to take advantage of the vast amount of research that has been done by Ali. If this sounds appealing, please stick with me as I dive deeper into the key strategies and my favorite experiments on how to implement the feel-good productivity principles in our day-to-day lives. And obviously the book has a lot more wisdom that I'm going to impart right now. So 50 experiments that I mentioned, I'm going to mention 5 or 7 right now. So if you want to take advantage of the extensive research done by Ali, please purchase the book and give it a read. Getting on with the video, let's get started. The first element of feel-good productivity is to energize ourselves, because if we are filled with energy, if we are beaming with positivity, and if we are excited for the work that we do, we get it done faster, better, and in a more enjoyable way. And the 3 enablers of energy are play, power, and people. There have been numerous scientific studies, and I don't know if you guys have mentioned it, at least I have, is that when I'm approaching the work with a sense of play, when the stakes are low, when there is no pressure to perform, and when I'm working less seriously but sincerely, the work gets done faster, more efficiently, and I enjoy the whole process of it. And that is what Ali mentions, is that by taking this play element towards our work, it can reinforce the positive flywheel that we are talking about, and thereby helping you get better results. People like MKBHD have talked about how they gamified the whole process and how this has brought a lot of value in their professional and personal lives. And my favorite experiment in the book regarding play is to focus on the process and not the end result. I'm a big fan of romanticizing the process, making it as fun as possible. I make my own to-do lists, smaller ones. I block time on calendar. I document the journey because all of these things give value to me. But these things can be different for you. Having said that, there is always something that you can do to make your whole process fun and more playful. The word power has gotten such a bad reputation in the recent times because of the mainstream media, but how Ali describes power is in terms of personal empowerment. When you approach the work with a sense of control and power, believing that what you do is in your control, what you have to do, you can do it, or even if you can't make sense of it right now, you will be able to find a way to do it in the future, and that what you're working on is totally in your control and you will be able to make difference to the task at hand, hence the bigger project, hence the overall goal, and hence having this I can do it attitude corresponds to power in Ali's words. My favorite experiment in the power section of Ali's book is the confidence switch, where you just tell yourself to switch your confidence to feeling more confident, no matter how you're feeling in the moment. This is very similar to fake it till you make it, but it surprisingly works. Although this is not mentioned in the book, but I believe that while you're faking it and then you're not doing good, and then you're coming back home, you're reflecting what you did wrong, and then you are faking with an improved sense of faking, if that makes sense. And then basically by doing all this, you are putting in the reps, you are putting in the quantity, which in due time leads to quality. And this is true for confidence as well, as is with everything in life. The book describes scientific studies of how other people's moods can affect our moods, because we are, after all, social creatures. And even if you work solo, you can in some way involve a type of human interaction in your life which impacts your work positively, not negatively. Approaching life with a zero-sum mindset where you have to beat everybody in order to win, as opposed to a positive-sum mindset where you are not worried about beating everyone because achieving your victory is not dependent on other people losing, is a very good mindset to have. And one of my favorite experiments from the book is the comrade mindset, which is also mentioned in Naruto, where if you are not supporting your friend, you're worse than scum or something to that effect. And this mindset encourages me to see all of my friends, my colleagues, my people, the people around me as my comrades, and I try to help them as often as possible. And this also gives me the feeling of we are in this together, even when times are tough, even when they're not. So I have their full support, they have my full support all around the year, and that makes for a well-rounded community. The second strategy discussed deals with the blockers that help us from feeling good in the moment. Sometimes feeling good just doesn't work, because if you are also procrastinating on that all-important essay or that code submission that is looming and the deadline is around, there is something to be said about emotional blockers that are holding you back. The Unblock method allows us to deal with these emotional blockers and helps us get to the root of the problem in a less uncomfortable way, if that makes sense, and understand why you are feeling bad in the first place, and thereby helping you solve the problem. The first method to unblock is to find courage. When we are fearful of starting or doing something, more often than not, it results in procrastination. But by developing the courage to face the fear head on, we can just get started, and that is the most important step, because once you get started, the momentum kicks in and all the other things take care of themselves. I have myself procrastinated from making that PPT, thinking that I'm not a good enough speaker and I'm gonna blow up that presentation. Or I've procrastinated on not starting that project because I think that I'm not yet well equipped in Java or JavaScript or whatever. One effective experiment that Ali mentions is affective labeling, wherein we just put into words what we are feeling. Now that can be talking to a closed one, or techniques like journaling can help, as they do for me. And when everything is on a piece of paper or on a screen, in my case, I can objectively look at what is happening, make sense of it, and try to take action as needed. It is surprisingly effective. Another method to unblock is to just get started. And this has become my favorite thing this year. Start when you are not ready. Even when I was switching my careers, I jumped even when I was not ready. It was a bumpy road, but I did it. And even with this YouTube channel, The production quality, the videos, scripting, filming, none of it is even close to where I want it to be. But I have started and I'm better off than most of the people who have not. Sometimes the inertia can set in. We call it a slump and a rut. One of the favorite experiments mentioned in the book is to do great environmental design. That is, to reduce the friction for us to take action on things that we want to take in the long run, but not in the short run. For example, if I want to go to the gym the first thing in the morning, I have to have the shoes and the workout clothes right next to me. If I want to sit down and study for a long period of time, I have to have a nicer keyboard. I have to make the vibe by setting the playlist and the favorite coffee drink, and then setting the ambient temperature perfectly, and that would allow me to be in the zone for longer times as opposed to being distracted by these things and constantly getting up. Basically, the trick, as I mentioned, is to make the environment make us do the things that we don't want to do right now, but we want to do in the long run. And don't do it for long. Do it as long as it becomes a habit, and when it becomes a habit, that's second nature. No matter how productive you are going to burn out if you don't take care of yourself. Personally, I am not at that stage of life, so I could not relate to this section, but I know people who are around me, and I can imagine how people reach at that stage of life, and hence I've taken a pointer or two on how I can avoid getting there and inculcate some strategies to do so. Because hey, those who learn from the mistakes of others are the ones who rule the world. Basically, there are 3 kinds of burnouts that Ali discusses. All of those you can read about in the book. By the way, I highly recommend you purchase the book if you are at this point of the video, but I'm going to discuss only one type of burnout that I could relate to the most, and as I mentioned, I could see other people around me facing that kind of burnout, and that is the overexertion burnout, which is defined when we take up way too many tasks than what is possible. And I've personally suffered from this, if you may, but sometimes I've just gone the extra mile and completed the task and the extra tasks that were there. But I think I know how this can be a problem if I do it more often, and how it can deplete my energies and excitement and can ultimately lead to burnout. One technique that is not mentioned in the book for this particular section, but that I use to combat this burnout thing nowadays, is to run my life basically through a calendar. And if I have marked all the things that I have to do on my calendar, but if I really want to do these extra projects, I will not do them, because I know that if I schedule them onto my calendar, if I overbook it, I'm going to mess up these 2 extra projects and the ones which are already on the calendar. And so yeah, Ali calls it doing less, and I totally agree. Less is more. Well guys, that is it. Thank you so much for sticking around. This was a brief summary of Ali Abdaal's Feel Good Productivity. By the way, if you are at this stage of the video, I highly recommend you purchase the book, give it a read. I'm sure it is going to be a net positive for you all. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because I'm gonna be posting a lot of book reviews in times to come. And yeah, I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.